Greetings guys, as promised, myself and Martin, we've come down to Walker Street. It's a Wednesday morning and we're just going to have a walk around just to see what is actually going on. And I'm going to, first of all, the first one to admit that it does actually look pretty bad down here. But saying that, that's because there's a lot of work going on Walker Street. There is probably more bars that are for rent and for sale, which is the same all over town. But it does look quite bad in here on Walker Street. But saying that, there is quite a lot going on, Martin.
Yeah, I think the two polarised arguments that we've got is that it is a bit like the actual road is a bit like a building site, but I think the whole premise of the video that we spoke about last week was that nobody is renovating or refitting some of the bars. Now, if they're talking about that we're going to open Thailand pretty shortly, and we can see that everybody's kind of really getting hyped up. Soi Buakhao, LK Metro, Soi Chayapun, they're kind of they're getting ready for the doors opening. Why is nobody doing anything on Walking Street to kind of even give the bars a lick of paint?
Okay, not necessarily true. There is quite a few bars that are doing work, but it does look worse than most places in Pattaya. I mean, LK Metro, Soi Buakhao, they're ready to go. Walker Street is not ready to go. Now, we did discuss this, Martin. We did say, I touched on it, that how important it is for Walker Street to actually come back for Pattaya. But it's going to take a lot longer than any other area, in my opinion, to come back. But it will come back. When I say it will come back, that's dependent on many things, and this goes down to visas, to vaccinations, to many things. There's certificates of entrance. There's just many things. Now, if, for example, I've said this, Martin, if say on the 1st of November, everything was dropped, you're not going to need a vaccination certificate, you're not going to need a certificate of entry, flights are going to be cheap, and everything's going to be back to normal, then I've always said there wouldn't be enough bars in Pattaya the way it is, the way we have lost probably 60% of bars. So it's going to be a slow process, and Walker Street is probably going to be the slowest process out of everywhere. Now, I admit that, but it will come back eventually.
Yeah, I think the only best thing to do is let's have a little walk, let's have a little chat while we're walking, and let's see what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
We're right at the beginning of Walking Street here, Nick, and the first thing we can see is these famous Thai places like Zap Bar.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people would say they've been run down for a while, but they're not making any effort to even try and renovate it.
Let me just say something, you know, this side of Walker Street, it's kind of important that this side looks smart because this is the entrance to it. And I'm going to be honest with you, it looks terrible. I mean, look at this, there's things hanging down here.
Yeah.
I mean, are they just gonna, they can't just open up like that, surely. It needs doing. With almost a 2-year lockdown, Martin, a 2-year closure, so to say, everything is rotted. You know, when I did the video in Krabi, the bars were falling apart.
Yeah.
And it's starting to deteriorate here now as well.
Yeah, what happens is when you're near the sea and near the ocean, you know, that the salt air, it rots everything, it rots the wood, it rots the metal, and Walking Street, you know, unless you maintain it, it's going to take double the time to actually bring it back and replace stuff.
Let's face it anyway, I mean, a lot of you guys, you must have been in Walking Street, say 2 or 3 years ago. If you've walked in the daytime, it doesn't look good in the daytime.
No, it looks bad any time when it's during the day.
So yeah, the very beginning here is not exactly the best start to Walking Street.
What we haven't said earlier on is that a lot of the roadworks are actually taking place. So actually Walking Street is pretty much unwalkable just now.
Yeah.
We have been told that this is only temporary, and they will replace the whole road. Again, it's all good news. I don't think Walking Street's going away anywhere. I think it's just going to take another 6 to 12 months.
Probably more than that, Martin.
Yeah.
You know, I think 12 months to 2 years. But as Martin was saying there, I have been on to AJ at the Pattaya News, and I said, what is happening? Because, okay, they're putting the cables on the ground, but it looks a mess because they've just basically patched it up. And AJ's told me that because they're thinking about opening on November the 1st, they're quickly now sort of patching everything together, and just in anticipation for that opening. But they are eventually going to renovate and rejuvenate the whole site by putting paving and benches and all kinds of things, and trees and all kinds of things. We're about a third of the way up Walking Streets now. Now, you've got the Simon Beer Bar complex here. I'm going to have to admit this, mate. That looks pretty bad, and unless there's a renovation in there, I can't see places like that come back. Maybe they'll turn into restaurants. Maybe this side of, not all of it, but maybe this side of Walking Street will have kind of beachfront restaurants. I don't know. Walking Street is going to come back, but it might be completely different, guys. I still think you're going to get nightclubs and go-go's, but I think a lot of these B-bar complexes will perhaps go.
Well, somebody said in the live stream that a lot of these places were actually going downhill before the pandemic hit. And what you were finding here was, I think this was called the Frog Bar, the one on the left here, and you also had this other, there you go, Frog Bar, and you had the two bars at the front done good business, but the ones in the back were kind of never really sort of kicked off, you know, unless it was like, you know, second week from Christmas and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. What's really cheesing me off is there's been no maintenance at all, so I don't know what the owner's thinking. You know, we've seen other bar complexes, and to be fair, Soy 7, some of the bars there are getting money spent on them.
Yes,
bar complexes.
That's the same as, you know, everywhere, but they are going to need to rejuvenate this, renovate the old place.
It feels like people have given up a little bit in Walking Street. What's really interesting about the whole Walking Street debate about, you know, when it's coming back, not if, when. If we look back in history, the whole epicentre of Walking Street emanated from this famous soy behind us. And we're talking, of course, about Soy Diamond. The Soy Diamond has always been a kind of really busy place with all the go-go bars and stuff. We do have our friend Phil, the pub up the top there. And I think probably when this place kicks off, Soy Diamond is probably going to be the place. We get Windmill in there.
I'm going to agree with you on this. I'm going to agree because, and also, I'm seeing work go on in Soy Diamond. Not a great deal of work, but it's a soy. This morning I got lost. I actually got lost trying to find this. Okay. So I've gone down a couple of soys down here, Soy 14. There was work going on. There was workmen. This was 9 o'clock in the morning. There was workmen. So I think what's going to happen is, I think Walking Street might go a bit more mainstream. Yeah. A bit more tourist friendly. But you're going to get these side soys like this one, Soy Diamond, that are going to boom a bit more. So you're probably going to get go-go's in the backside. You've also got the new nightclub coming, which I mentioned, which I don't know which soy's on, but I know it's in an off soy. So what I'm saying is, the Walking Street itself will change. It will change. The soy off of Walking Street are going to be pockets of hotspots. Yes. We know that Soy 15 had the old baby dolls. It had you know, Misty's Sapphire Club. You know, these places will probably spark a little bit of a hotspot. Yeah. Soy Diamond. I mean, Soy Diamond's not going anywhere. I was told Baby Dolls is coming back, and it's ready on the 1st.
Ooh, I'll be first in line.
One of the most important things for me for Walking Street, for it to start back, is the Indian market. There's Indian nightclubs here. There's not a great deal of Indian go-go's kind of thing, but that's an important one. And also, Martin, another important thing, which is going to slow Walking Street down, is the Koreans and the Japanese, and the Koreans and the Japanese are not on that list to come back on the safe list. So that could be a spanner in the works for and slow Walking Street down and coming back.
It could well be that the owners of a lot of these big bars are actively looking at the news every week and saying, well, who's coming back? If my team of customers is not coming back, then why bother? But I would argue that this is the time for renovation. This is the time to make it, but maybe
you're right.
People don't have the money. Can I just point out, Nick, that one of the first places that I think is going to open in Walking Street and is going to buck the trend is going to be Lucifer's Disco, and also the Music Cafe. This place, along with iBar, is some of the most famous locations. So as far as these two places, they're definitely going to, they'll despite the mess of the actual street, they will open right away, I think, on the first week. And somebody asked that question on your stream, which bars do we think is going to open? So put Lucifer Disco on that list.
Yeah, these will be the drivers of Walking Street.
Yeah.
You know, they were the ones who are going to start the comeback of it.
Now, I think this soy behind us is definitely worth a mention. We can't do a Walking Street video without mentioning Soy Happy. Such a famous bar that they named the street after it.
Yeah.
Now, it's part of the Happy Agogo sort of group.
Yeah.
They also owned Peppermint Agogo and also Beach Club on Soy 15. Now, the bad news is that I've heard that the whole group is decided to call it a day. Don't quote me on that. I hope that this one comes back. Again, this was very, in the last kind of few years, it was geared for the Asian market.
Yeah.
So it wasn't somewhere that your average kind of European would come, but still lots of fun in here. I hope it comes back, but time will tell.
This bit here, the building behind us here, is the pier. And you'll remember this one from the dancing Russian girls that dance at the top up here. This is looking in a bad state, Martin.
Yeah, we all remember Galaxy Agogo. It's one that everybody takes photographs when they're walking down the street. In fact, you could argue this was one of the reasons that the Chinese would walk up and down the streets and kind of gawking at these things.
Yes.
This was a spectacle. It seems that it is a bit run down now. How much effort's going to take to rebuild these, I don't know. The Thais can work fast.
They can work fast, but it's all about the money, isn't it? You know, what kind of money's going to come in. It's going to take a lot of money. I mean, you know, Walking Street is notoriously high in rents. So you've got to couple everything together. And when is the market's going to open up properly? None of us know that. We could be 1 year or 2 years or 3 years down the line.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's going to depend on how Thailand, you know, does Thailand really mean we've got to learn to live with this, or are we going to be shut down again in 6 months' time? You know, but business owners have to take this into consideration, and they have to factor this in. Are we out of this mess yet? So that's where the investment. It depends if anybody's going to take that gamble, because it is a lot of investment, Walking Street.
Yeah, the thing about this area is this is going to be kind of market forces is going to dictate to whether this opens or not. Now, I'm going to put a wee sort of quiz question into here in the video, Nick,
okay.
And I want to know, put it in the comments, what was the name of this area before it was a Pier Disco Club? So that's your question for this vlog. Drop it in the comment and I'll give you a big thumbs up if you get it right. Right behind us here, we've got quite a famous little area across from Insomnia, and this is the place where all the guys, all the tourists wanted to take their picture with the beautiful ladyboys in Walking Street. As you can see, it really is kind of looking a bit sad.
Yes,
and they need to sweep it, you know. And if we can swing the camera around just slightly, Nick. Everybody who's been to Pattaya for a long time will remember this area was where the famous FLB bar was.
Yes.
A freelancers bar, which was one of the first bars in Pattaya that had online bell ringing.
Yes,
they
correct.
were real
and
innovative.
that was like, what, 15 years ago or more, probably.
It sure was.
You know, for many of you guys out there, for many of us, Walking Street's had its heyday a long time ago, and we moved on to other areas. But Walking Street became better for other people, like for the Asian market. And, you know, we can say it's gone, we can say it's finished, but to me, Martin, Walking Street nowadays for Westerners, it's the younger generation. The younger generation love Walking Street. So that's to me, our walking street will go. It'll go for, you know, more Indian, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and the younger generation, particularly the younger Farangs. That's what will happen to walking street for me. It was already going that way anyway.
Yeah.
So the younger people, they don't mind spending money. They don't mind, you know, they've got the life to live forward. We used to do it when we were younger. So fair play to them.
Yeah, in conclusion, walking street is not going away. Nick and I both agree with that. I think what we're saying is that depending on how the next few months go will dictate how much and how fast they kickstart. What we're thinking now and what we've decided is that maybe many bar owners are decided not to renovate just now because of the uncertainty. And also, up until now, they've been able to rely on the location.
Yeah.
They didn't have to spend money being a big flashy bar.
Yeah.
But
that's
Nick,
changing.
It's changing.
It's got the idea that they can just open up on walking street and it doesn't matter how it looks. That's changing now. It's the new Pattaya. I think, you know, in summarising this, walking street is going to come back. I've said it from the beginning, but it's going to take time. It's going to take maybe 2 or 3 years, and it's probably 6 months down the line before it starts looking anything good. But there is work going on here, Martin, and you know, I think once business owners start to see something happening with this road and making this better, then maybe, you know, more investment will come in.
Yes, as soon as somebody does a lick of paint on this soy, we will be there filming it and we'll keep you updated.
Guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.